That is a good question, though. Let's answer it.
We're going to learn about the RNA World Hypothesis, a widely accepted theory of how life first arose from inorganic compounds.
First, we need to know what Earth was like when life first began. Current estimations suggest it began more than 3.7 billion years ago. At that time, molecular oxygen wasn't nearly as abundant in the atmosphere as it is today. Instead, it was full of gases such as methane, carbon monoxide, hydrogen sulfide, and ammonia. While toxic to us, these gases have elements central to all life: hydrogen, carbon, oxygen, and nitrogen. Now, we know these gases aren't alive. When combined with water and a bit of energy, they can take us one step closer to life. Flash forward to 1953. Stanley L. Miller and Harold C. Urey are preparing an experiment at the University of Chicago. They run evaporated water vapor through a chamber containing methane, ammonia, hydrogen, and an active electrode. This simulates what would happen when all these gases are struck by lightning and given enough energy to collide and react with each other. This cycle is repeated over and over, and when the resulting solution was condensed, Miller discovered something. The colliding gases had formed amino acids, the building blocks of protein.
This discovery made waves in the scientific community. It was the first time organic compounds had ever been produced from inorganic molecules. And suddenly, life was a little less inexplicable. Since then, we have found that we can produce not only amino acids, but also nitrogenous bases and the sugar ribose. And when these combine with free-floating phosphate, they become what are called nucleotides, like this one here.
And what nucleotides do is form long carbon chains. When nucleotides with the bases
Adenine, guanine, cytosine, or uracil form one of these chains, it's called ribonucleic acid, or RNA for short. RNA only ever forms single-chain molecules, unlike its double-helixed cousin, DNA. But this allows the molecule to do some amazing things. The nucleotides of an RNA molecule can bond and pair with free-floating nucleotides, but only in a very specific way.
They fit like puzzle pieces. Adenine only pairs with uracil, and cytosine only pairs with guanine.
When this process happens to an entire RNA molecule, a new strand of RNA is formed. And because each base only pairs with exactly one other base, the new sequence has adenine where there was uracil, cytosine where there's guanine, and vice versa. So when the pairing process is repeated with this new strand, the bases just swap back, forming an exact copy of what we started with.
An organic molecule that can reproduce is pretty awesome, but it's not alive quite yet. What brings us over this last hurdle is something called molecular evolution, a process by which RNA increases its own survivability.
When nitrogenous bases pair, sometimes a small mistake is made, a mutation. Here, instead of adenine pairing with uracil, like it's supposed to, it pairs with cytosine. This makes a new nucleotide sequence that can be less stable in its parent strand and just fall apart, or it can be more stable and outlast its parent strand.
This means that over the course of generations of RNA, more stable molecules reproduce the most, and thus they're more plentiful in the environment. It's essentially a molecular version of survival of the fittest.
Once stable enough, RNA can further evolve by making different types of molecules. This happens when the bases on a single strand of RNA pair up, folding the chain and exposing a brand new chemical structure. This new structure has unpaired bases that can now interact with different molecules. This lets the RNA act as a catalyst, or a substance that helps make chemical reactions happen.
And when RNA can catalyze the synthesis of certain organic compounds, such as proteins, lipids, or even more nucleotides, then it can use those and integrate with them to evolve better survival mechanisms. Proteins can perform complex functions and catalyze more reactions to keep the RNA stable. And lipids can surround the RNA in a little suit of armor.
That looks kind of like a cell.
We made it! And just like that, we have cellular life. And all it took was inorganic gases, some energy, and like 1 billion years. Well, that's not too much to ask for something as great as life.